The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
Faster Mike, good afternoon. Welcome to Mannin Line on Manx Radio. Open line today through till 1. Text, email, call and WhatsApp. Oh, before we go any further, let me say hi to Stephanie, who dropped me a note from Western Australia yesterday. She listens to Mannin Line on a podcast every day. And there are hundreds of people who listen to the podcast right around the world. So wherever you are, whatever time of day it is, listening to Mannin Line on podcast, you're more than welcome. The Health Minister sit back at accusations that the mandate from the Manx Care evidences the largest assault on the NHS care on the Isle of Man that we've ever seen. The crux of the document is to develop better out-of-hospital provision in dental, GP and pharmacy services and accelerate a home-first approach to move more services into the community. Do you remember where this started? Do you remember the Chief Minister who went to New Zealand to see it all? It was Mr. Quayle, wasn't it? This home first, because apparently that's what they did, the Canterbury model, wasn't it, from New Zealand. That's where all this is. So the Manx Care saga rolls on, and also that the Keeping Breast Care screening, the petition is still going on. And also I got a message from, it was Penny, wasn't it, who wanted to know more about Shaw's Brow, how much is that's going to cost. But we'll get to that in just a few moments' time. Let's get to the lines first of all. And Charlie's with us. Hi, Charlie.
Hi. I heard yesterday you mentioned Peter Murcott's meeting at the Uncan Community Centre last night.
Well, he mentioned it. He came on.
Well, he mentioned it. I went up there. It was very informative. There's a private members' bill being put through, which will severely interrupt freedom of speech. And I recommend, Peter's going to Peel tonight, I think. I recommend the people in Peel need to go and listen to him. And I also recommend that whatever MHK has put this private members' bill forward, I'd urge their voters to go to the meetings and exclude them from the next vote. Because my late father spent over 5 years out of town fighting for freedom of speech and stopping dictatorships.
What did you learn? What did you learn that you didn't know before, Charlie?
Well, the law states of different things of disorderly. They're already in place. But this bill that's in England now, and the bill they're putting through is even stronger. And they can zone areas. Now, if you say a certain thing in that zone, now, they can zone a house, but it also includes the footpath, the gardens, everything around that house. And if you're living next door, you can be standing in their zone and not know it. And you could end up getting in trouble for it. To me, it goes against complete freedom of speech and, well, I'd say democracy as well.
What was the mood of the meeting like?
Very good. One person brought up the fact that the way this is going, somebody could form a fascist party. It was agreed. There was a retired sergeant next to me, and I says, yes, but we don't have a corporal at the moment. We have a captain.
Okay.
But, no. Our minister may have all his life been in the military. The general says, squat, you squat. But our MHKs are all individuals. And they work for the people, not for the chief minister. Okay.
All right. Good to hear from you, Charlie. Thanks for that. As Charlie mentioned, there is a meeting, I think, in Peel tonight. Joe's on now. Hi, Joe.
Hello there. I'm phoning up to fill you in on the original Old Mannin.
Oh, the dredger.
Yes. She was put up for tender approximately 20 years ago.
Right.
And she eventually sold for £30,000.
Is that all?
Yes. There was, so I'm told at the time, there was at least £5,000 worth of paint on the boat, because we used to call her the yacht. She was always immaculate. The crew, all they did was paint the boat and keep her looking spick and span. So, but Padstow Harbour Commissioners put in a bid for her, but unfortunately, the letter they sent, the written bid in, the letter mysteriously disappeared in the post.
Oh, crikey.
So they didn't get it. 3 months later, Padstow Harbour Commissioners had to buy the dredger from the person that bought the boat for £30,000, but by then they had to pay £90,000.
An increase of 60? Is this genuine?
Yes, oh yes, that's very genuine. Now, that's that side of it sorted. Now, I've just seen the photograph of the new dredger working in Douglas. Very similar to Taru, actually, a wee bit bigger perhaps. But we had a dredger in Ramsey, in the ship behind the shipyard in Ramsey, that was bought to dredge out the harbour at Peel. But the environmentalists stopped it because they were wanting to pump the effluent through a pipe over the seawall. So they couldn't do that. Now, if the harbour authorities still had that dredger, it could have been used in conjunction with the Taru Ushti and the barge that Laxey Towing Company have, the hopper barge. Or better still, I think, they seem to give things away quite regularly these days. If they would have given the little dredger they bought over to Laxey Towing Company, they could have done it for them and showed them how to do it. Unfortunately, this hasn't happened. So I've no doubt it's going to cost the Manx taxpayer more than £30,000 for what the dredger's doing now in Douglas Harbour.
Oh, crikey, I can imagine. It must cost thousands a day to hire a dredger.
Well, exactly. This is the forethought of our MHKs that are leading us.
So how good was the old dredger? Did you have any experience of it? Was she any good?
There was nothing wrong with her. She very rarely got used, really. She was trotting about in Douglas most of the time, occasionally down to Port St Mary. She never came into Ramsey apart from if she was going up the slipway to have more anti-fouling put on her. She was bought with the intention originally. She was built brand new, by the way. She was designed by Berners Corlett in Ramsey, the marine architects. She had an air-cooled engine in her. She could sit down on the riverbed and dredge away, fill herself up, and go out to sea and discharge. But that was to no avail. As I say, she was sold as, I'm sure she was advertised as being as new. I don't know how old she was when she was sold. She was only about 15 years old, I would say, when she was sold.
Wow.
But that's all I've got to say about it, so it might be making people's ears burn when they find out that she was sold for £30,000.
Well, the fact is, it just seems, Joe, that the harbour's always going to be needed to be dredged. It's surely people knew that.
Exactly. But they don't seem to look at it that way.
All right. Okay. Good to hear from you. Thanks, Joe.
All right, bye.
By 16 minutes past 12. Also, somebody sent me a message in that the Manxman is helping with that crash off Hull. There's a tug called Manxman that's helping with it. Just get everywhere, doesn't it? Well, the Norma is still, I'm looking out of the window now, the Norma is still going to and forth across Douglas Harbour at the moment, dredging away. We never quite found out what happened to Tara Ushja, what was happening. Maybe the captain can tell us what happened with, and she's, was she bent out of shape or what happened? Anyway, apparently she's in Ramsey getting fixed as well. Government should make UK retirees to the Isle of Man who've only paid NI into the UK pay a surcharge towards their Isle of Man healthcare, says Gaz. Does that work the other way, though, Gaz? Because you never know, do you? If anybody's only paid in the Isle of Man retires in the UK, would that mean that the UK could charge a surcharge on that? Jim just noted in and just said the rules on protected spaces are to stop, and these are Jim's words, not mine, religious zealots harassing people who are going for medical procedures that they disagree with, publicly praying and holding placards to cause upset. If people want to object to this, then they need to question why the rule is needed, says Jim. Thank you, Jim, on 917. Further to Charlie's call, the proposed bill regarding safe zones is a slippery slope to totalitarianism, says Alison. A 74-year-old lady in Scotland, where this law has been introduced, was arrested and handcuffed for standing near a hospital which performs abortions, with a sign that says, "Here to talk if you want." She could be fined up to £10,000. She wasn't accosting anyone, she just stood nearby. I hope the Isle of Man doesn't go down this road. Any thoughts on the matter? Text, email, call, WhatsApp. That note from Stephanie, who just said, how much is Shaw's Brow going to cost? So Stephanie says, I park in it every day. £1.6 million to conclude by late January next year. Chair of Douglas City Council's Housing and Property Committee says disruption is going to be kept to a minimum as a major refurbishment project gets underway in the capital. Essential maintenance on Shaw's Brow car park started yesterday. On the Barrack Street elevation, there are 692 spaces. Did you know that? 692 spaces inside Shaw's Brow. 45 weeks of phased programmes of works. They're cladding, roof replacement, structural brickwork repairs, water ingress prevention measures, lighting upgrades, the replacement of timber doors with secure steel door sets and other remedial works. So £1.6 million to be concluded by late January next year. Chair of Housing and Property is Devon Watson. And we don't quite know, because remember, Shaw's Brow abuts onto the back of those Lord Street flats. I mean, literally from when you walk out of the bottom end, if you like, the bottom end of Athol Street, you can literally look over onto the walkways in Lord Street. So we don't quite know whether that work on either knocking down the Lord Street flats or propping it up, whether that actually affects. But Stephanie, that's it. It's £1.6 million and it's on until January, the end of January next year. So the health minister's hit back at accusations that this is the largest assault on NHS care. The crux of the document is to develop better out-of-hospital provision. Claire Christian, just 5 months ago, as a backbencher, said the planned health cuts by Manx Care meant the health body was essentially holding a gun to the head of government. But now she's a minister. So we spoke to Claire Christian and said whether her views would be different if she weren't in Comyn.
Both Laura Hooper and Julie Edge have come out quite vocally about this. They've both suggested that you wouldn't have agreed to the mandate document if you'd read it all. So did you read the whole mandate document before you approved it?
Of course.
And so the question that we then have is, would you 5 months ago as a backbencher, would you be supporting this document?
Absolutely, I would be supporting this document. This is the first time that we have, certainly from I think a DHSC perspective, where we're really aligning balancing the mandate with the operational plan and our financial budget at the same time. And we've had to do that in, I think, about 6 weeks. It's been quite incredible feat to do that. And working closer with Professor Reid, working closer with the Manx Care Board to deliver a service that's right for the public is really, really important. I can understand, that change is always really, difficult to understand. And I think that there's always improvements for us to communicate those changes better. And I'm definitely open to that. And I would just say that I absolutely welcome Miss Edge. She's totally always spoken to me and communicated to me on these issues directly. Mr. Hooper, on the other hand, he's not come to speak to me about his queries or his issues. But again, my door is absolutely open, and I would welcome for him to come and speak to me, come and speak to Professor Reid for us to talk through his concerns, especially for his constituents and the wider public.
Claire Christian, MHK, talking about the new Manx Care mandate. Leslie said, I was listening to Mannin Line yesterday on podcast and was horrified to hear about the proposal to cut back on breast screening. I had a mammogram in August 2023 which showed no problems. 9 months later, I found a large lump which turned out to be cancerous. It was cancer. Luckily, after surgery and radiotherapy, I'm clear of cancer now. If I'd waited 2 years for my next mammogram, it would have been a very different story. Raising it to 3 years is playing with people's lives, says Leslie. Thank you, Leslie. I appreciate you taking the time to get in touch with that. And also, Hugh dropped me a note and just said, I heard about the petition or the request for a new inquest into the deaths at Summerland. And just wonder what everybody else's opinion is. Well, thank you, Hugh, but what's your opinion on this? Chief Minister says that government would support the island's Attorney General should he decide to open a new inquest into the deaths at Summerland. It was August 1973 that 50 people died when Summerland at the top end of Douglas Prompt caught fire. At a subsequent inquest, the deaths were recorded as being as a result of misadventure. Any thoughts on that? Text, email, call, WhatsApp. Robert's with us now. Hi, Robert.
Hi, how you doing? No omelette today, but we've still got plenty going. How are you?
Good.
Yeah, we're all the same. I'm just thinking about Ferry Bridge tea. You know, the stuff that you get in the tea bag.
Yeah.
Tesco, do they stock them?
I mean,
it's a litmus test, really, isn't it?
I've not seen them in Tesco.
It's a litmus test if they're going to accept Manx products if they don't accept Ferry Bridge tea, really, isn't it?
Do you drink Manx tea?
I do. I drink lots of tea, yeah. Sometimes with milk, sometimes without, because my dad doesn't like it with milk.
Oh, okay, right, okay. So,
but it's just generally buy Manx products. Buying Manx products. I think we need to do that a bit more.
Well, ShopRite always stocked quite a lot of Manx products. They were very proud of stocking Manx products. Obviously now Tesco can, bluntly, Tesco can do what they want, Robert. I don't know how we're going to convince them, but they do have all the Isle of Man Creamery products in there, don't they? They're all the cheese and the butter and what have you.
Is it going to go the same way as Robinson's, though? Because I think that's going to go up for sale in a bit, isn't it?
I don't know about that. No. That's complete speculation. Robinson's, I believe, is doing very well.
Oh, that's good. I'm happy for them. Well, I hope we get more Manx products, is what I'm trying to say, from the farmers into Tesco. That was just the basis of it.
I think it was 2023 that Tesco stopped stocking Ferry Bridge tea, so that's, a couple of years ago.
Oh, shame.
Okay.
Well, maybe there's an alternative.
All right, thanks for calling today.
All right, have a good day.
Good to hear from you. Let's get to Adam's with us. Hi, Adam.
Hi, Randy. You all right?
Very well, thanks.
Good. I was a bit worried yesterday, or concerned, to hear you and talk about the New World Order and to associate it with some sort of he said the Chief Minister had been talking about it on Friday.
Well, he did. The Chief Minister said, he just said in the there's a New World Order. He was referring, I think, to the new president in America and Russia and Ukraine and what have you, and obviously China into the mix, and North Korea for that matter.
Yeah, and referring to the state of the world is it now, with sort of Russia and China becoming more dominant. But But a lot of people associate that term with all the rhetoric on Facebook and the internet, which kids are exposed to constantly, which is all about the conspiracy theories, international conspiracy theories, very anti-Semitic in nature, and also very hateful towards people like the Freemasons, and promoting a kind of, all to do with the Anunnaki and, blowing up Egyptian mythology to be some sort of, things we can never say is for sure, associating it with aliens and all sorts of things. And all this rubbish is being constantly streamed on the internet and on Facebook, and kids are constantly bombarding with it. There's constant items and reels about archaeology and that, all this kind of thing, and all sort of pseudo-science, pseudo-mythology. And I think it's awful, because all the Chief Minister means when he talks about New World Order is like China, the rise of China, and Donald Trump and the state of Russia. China's now got an allegiance with Russia. China is investing in Africa, and we need to be worried about it, really, Andy.
And you said that a lot of the stuff circulates on the internet and social media. There's one primary reason that it circulates on the internet and social media, Adam.
What's that, Andy?
It's unregulated. It's not subject to law. So your bricks and mortar media, radio stations around the world, radio stations, television stations, newspapers, magazines, things that are regulated and come under laws, they're regulated. The internet is the Wild West. So you can go on the internet, and that's where all this comes from. You're regulated wherever the server is. So if the server happens to be in Uzbekistan or wherever, in Colombia, Peru, Paraguay, Venezuela, anywhere, and you can have half a dozen servers. It bounces from one to the other. It is unregulated, and people can say what they want. The disturbing thing is now a large proportion of young people, and it is young people, it's a generational thing, get their news from the internet. And a lot of them can't distinguish between genuine proper broadcasters and newspapers that then put their regulated material on the internet, and people who just sit in their underpants in a bedroom somewhere and pretend to be a journalist.
Yeah, well, a lot of it is presented in documentary style. I mean, there's all sorts of rubbish on there, but I mean things like different alien species, a documentary on different alien species, and it's presented, and people watch it on Facebook, and it's and they think it's real, as you say, Andy. But I mean, it's not these. You cannot have a world order run by bourgeois groups. You have to have the people at the base of society doing things, the workers. So any conspiracy theory is not going to involve their eradication, and if there is an international conspiracy theory, it's not going to be all over the internet. So we need to remember that it's not the rubbish we see online that's the issue. It's the drugs gangs, the county lines drugs operation, the IRA, and other left associated bodies, far left wing bodies, which comprise the equivalent to the mafia in the Isle of Man and in the Irish Sea region, and in the whole of Britain, in fact.
Very good point, actually, Adam. Anybody who's planning has got a plan for the future, a nefarious plan, is never going to advertise it, are they? They're just going to spring it on us.
They'll just spring it on us, Andy. They will. But I also wanted to talk about the New World Order as it is, with China and Russia, and the worrying allegiance between China and Russia. And obviously China has got 2 billion people, Andy. That's 10 times as many people as the United States has. And China are investing huge amounts of money in Africa and in developing countries, and teaching them how to do things, teaching them how to operate an industry. And the United Kingdom is not doing as much. The UK has the Commonwealth, but it doesn't really make the most of the Commonwealth in terms of building trading relationships and building building sort of alliances and helping developing countries to develop. And I think this is absolutely crucial, especially with the United States withdrawing US aid at the moment from all over the world, because all of the money that is funneled into London and the financial services sector from Africa and developing countries, and all the mining and all the industry that goes on in Africa, it's all run out of London. And that is the same financial services sector that operates in the Isle of Man. The Isle of Man is just essentially, it's an intrinsic part of the British financial services sector.
Yeah.
So we need to be concerned about this, I think, because in future, if Africa's fund is going to start, if things are increasingly run out of China, finance is run through Chinese banks and through Chinese financial centres as opposed to London, then we're going to see the decline of the financial services sector both in the UK, and it'll have a knock-on effect in the Isle of Man, of course.
Okay.
And so I think the Isle of Man needs to address what it needs to plan for the future. The Manx government needs to plan for the future in which a finance services sector perhaps no longer dominates. And it could be doing this in all sorts of ways, I think. It could be doing this through, why don't the Isle of Man invest in a cryptocurrency thing that Donald Trump's announced in America?
Okay.
What is it he's announced, Andy? What is it he's announced? He's announced a cryptocurrency reserve.
Okay.
And and the Isle of Man could be doing this to plan for the financial future of the island, and it's worth investing. And there's all sorts of second generation cryptocurrency blockchains coming out now, which the Isle of Man could be investing in through a national reserve to plan for the financial future and to secure the long-term future of the financial services sector, but also to have money in the long term to invest in other sectors as the financial services sector wanes and as Britain's international influence wanes. And the other thing the Isle of Man can do is engage itself in sort of developing Africa, step in where the US has stepped down, and perhaps form bilateral agreements with places like Zanzibar in Africa to help their development and have a direct approach if the Isle of Man wanted to have an approach separate from the British one.
Okay. All right, Adam, we appreciate it. Thanks for calling today.
Thanks, Andy.
Take care. 27 minutes before 1. A note in from Robert, who just said the IRA was disbanded a long time ago with the Good Friday Agreement. And somebody else said China doesn't have 2 billion people. At best, they've got 1.5 billion. And due to decades of low birth rates, their population is going to crash in the next 50 or so years. They certainly do have a problem coming, a generational problem coming in China. But anyway, let's get to Wilf with us now. Hi, Wilf.
Hi, it's just a short one, but I'm dead with the people that want to bring into this inquiry into Summerland, to bring this up and get something sorted out.
Yeah.
Because it's made me mad since it happened, that it just happened and nothing was ever nobody's ever brought the blame or anything about it, really. Everybody got away with it. And it wants sorting out once and for all. I mean, I was there, and I seen it all from start to finish, and it's something I wish I'd never seen. And it just brings up to me now.
What would it take? What would it take, Wilf, to settle your mind?
Well, is there anybody alive that's responsible? That's the thing now. Are they all gone? Because 50 years ago, the people that built it and all the rest of it, and it was built of oral glass, and I don't know that they know at the time, but that's what went up in flames, and I seen it go up, and I don't know, is there anybody left to blame? That's the thing. So who would pay? Would money come from government to sort of compensate these people?
I've asked a question about this, Wilf, and I've asked the people involved and just said, look, is this all about money? And apparently it's not about money. They just want that verdict changed from misadventure. They want a change in the verdict, just to say that it wasn't misadventure. There were certain faults, and people didn't go there expecting that something might go wrong. They went out for a night out or a day out, and something was dreadfully wrong with Summerland. Now, as to who was responsible, whether or not you can apportion responsibility, I think they just want that inquest conclusion changed. Apparently, it's not about money, Wilf.
Ah, right, okay. Well, that's fine. That's okay. But for the site that's there, the site that's left,
yeah,
it should be left and turned into a playground for the kids or whatever. Nothing built on it again, I don't think, but that's only my opinion.
Okay, all right.
Because what happened, it's gone, it's done.
Appreciate it, Will. Thanks for calling today.
Okay.
Good to hear from you. 24 minutes before 1. Well, the application for a new inquest into Summerland has been lodged by human rights lawyers. It's Phoenix Law, they're called. They act for the Summerland Campaign Group. They want to reopen the case, and they want the partner at Phoenix Law, Dara Mackin, who just said the families have raised concerns about the original investigations and the inquest, and the application supports their concerns and underscores them. And they just want to look at the fact that what they say is a miscarriage of justice. And the revelation, coupled with the evolution in forensic techniques, makes a clear and undisputable need for a fresh investigation. We talked about it. Do you remember that we did an entire programme on Summerland? And many people who were there on the day, and we all know somebody who was there. Sometimes they'll talk about it, and often many people simply won't talk about what happened on that day because they were too close to it. What do you think? Text, email, call and WhatsApp now. Oh, Howard's with us now. Hi, Howard.
Hi, Andy. Yes, the dangerous factor there is the people in the, for Summerland, their genuine faith of just getting it overturned, but there's illegal brains behind it all now, and those people just don't take prisoners. They will want their pound of flesh. The people that suffered from Summerland and the people who are still suffering, they're not going to really benefit from anything except that, as I say, they'll overturn the verdict, but then the lawyers will get their greedy little hands on it, and avarice, that's it. But that's not what I come on for. I've just come in the door, and I think it was Robert that was talking about the Manx tea bags, etc. They are still available. We use them. I bought a whole load before ShopRite shut down. I was one of the greedy ones. I more or less cleared the shelf. But because Tesco were not stocking them, a manager was there one day at Tesco, and I asked him the reason why. And now, what truth there is in it or not, but he said, Manx Tea and Coffee, I think that's the name of the firm, they're Balfane. They are unable to give what he termed as a provenance. In other words, where the tea come from, the quality of the tea, it had to be a nitty-gritty for the people within the Tesco group before they will put it on their shelves. And unfortunately, his words were the tea and coffee company cannot provide this, so Tesco won't stock it. But it's still available. I'm going down to Balfane soon to get some because of those bags that I've got, we've got one left, and they still do. We have the Glen Helen one, and but they will still sell it at them, and they sell it to you at the factory, and I think, and that's only a think, they may deliver, but don't waste their time ordering one bag. But it is still available at the Mannin Tea and Coffee at Balfane, and it's excellent tea.
Okay.
But because of the provenance that Tesco wanted on where it was produced, how it was produced, and where the tea come from, all the ins and outs of the quality, the company down there were unable to provide suitable provenance to Tesco, hence it came off the shelves.
Okay, now before you go any further, do you get embarrassed easily, Howard?
Oh, dreadful.
I got a couple of messages in yesterday. Howard's brilliant. That's the only way we can get clarity with anything that goes on in the Isle of Man. Why couldn't a spokesman for the government explain about the dredger? We would have more confidence in the government if it came clean on matters, said Paul. And Alison said, Howard can be as nosy as he likes. Please thank him for the great information.
Yes. Oh, well, as I say, if you don't ask questions, you don't get any answers.
Okay. All right.
And they're still working down there, I think. I just looked on your website, on the webcam.
Yeah, they're still there. Well, They didn't get much done in the wind yesterday afternoon.
No. But they're doing the job, and as they say, it's something that's going to have to be looked at by the DOI. Otherwise, we're going to have a port here that's useless.
All right. Thanks, Howard.
Take care.
Cheers now. 19 minutes to 1.
Conquer all conditions with Maxxis tyres. From city cruising to off-road adventure, Maxxis has a full range of tyres to suit your vehicle and needs. Every tyre comes with a lifetime guarantee, so you can be confident in Maxxis tyres' quality and reliability. For tyres you can trust at highly competitive prices, visit your exclusive local Maxxis dealer, Quayside Tyre and Service Centre.
Don't delay, have safer tyres today. Quayside!
As the hot air balloon lifted off, Ellie's financial future rose too. Secure, steady and full of possibility. All thanks to Skipton International Guernsey and their fixed 4.4% AER saving rate until March 31st, 2026 on deposits of £100,000 or more. Let your money soar with confidence. Join Ellie and secure your rate today at Skipton.
For details on Skipton savings products, call 01481 730 730 or visit skiptoninternational.com. No withdrawals allowed until maturity. Interest paid annually and upon maturity. Skipton International is licensed to take deposits by the GFSC and is a participant in the Guernsey Banking Deposit Compensation Scheme. See dcs.gg.
Spectrum Windows. If your house needs a new look and your windows letting rain, keep those cold breezes out and make it look like new again. Spectrum Windows, Spectrum Windows. Quality through and through. Great work guaranteed to you. Spectrum Windows, Spectrum Windows, Spectrum Windows.
Tonight at 5:30 here on Manx Radio, join Kiri Kermode and myself, Simon Clark, for a special look back at the annual Young Farmers Concert 2025 on Countryside.
We'll be hearing some clips from the concert on the night and some of the chairpersons involved.
And also we chat to the judges as well on the Friday night, the sponsors and anyone else who was involved or willing to speak to us on the night.
That's all in Countryside tonight here on Manx Radio at 5:30. And don't forget, you can download or subscribe to the podcast for free at manxradio.com.
The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
Look at that time, 17 minutes before 1. Just a quick word about Beach Buddies, who are heading, well, they're linking up with the Channel Islands for a series of special events this coming weekend. For the first time, the Isle of Man is connecting with the beach cleaning groups in Guernsey and Jersey for the annual Big Beach Clean. Each Beach Buddies normal Sunday morning event takes place at Spaldrick in Port Erin from 10:30. But they're inviting people from all over the Isle of Man to join in at any time over the weekend on a beach of your choice. All you need to do is get involved, go to your favourite beach, pick up some rubbish and let them know. You don't have to join them on Sunday morning. You can go out at any time over the weekend with friends or family or even on your own. Take photographs and send them to info@beachbuddies.org.im. And that'll be on their Facebook page, I presume. So well done to Beach Buddies. A big Pan-Island clean-up over the weekend. Listening to the House of Keys this morning, the speaker seems to have lost orders. It sounded like the Monkey House. Says, I'm sure it wasn't, Anne. Juan's on now. Hi, Juan.
Andy, how are you?
Very, very well. What a gorgeous day.
Oh, great. Good. Summer's coming for everybody at last, eh? Everything goes round in a circle, eh? Just a bit of housekeeping from yesterday. I mentioned the Newsom site. I just want to correct, it wasn't the appeal meeting, it was the actual planning meeting. The detail that I gave was correct. It was just that it was the planning meeting, not the appeal meeting. Someone mentioned about the Lufthansa pilot when I mentioned about the chemtrails. Yeah, take that one. Looking into it, I should have looked into a bit more on that one because normally I do double check quite a lot of stuff.
That was a Mickey take, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, yeah. But it doesn't take away the fact that there is actual laws going through into court for the banning of chemtrails in certain states. So that's factual.
What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean chemtrails?
Well, this is a discussion. I mean, it's such a deep one. I don't want to get drawn into because I'm going to take my time up on here. But, I mean, I can physically sit there in the Isle of Man, and most people haven't got time to do that. Everyone's involved with their work, head down and going along. And a lot of people, I'm sure, will text in and support it. But I can sit there in America, I can sit there in the Isle of Man, and I watch. It can't be vapor. I mean, we never had this years ago, for one. It comes down and it morphs. Anyone who takes the time to look at some of this stuff, it just morphs. It morphs into the next one. It morphs into the next one. And you get a haze over the sun. I don't know why people are denying it, Andy, because we've said that this is factual before. And if you look at the Gates Foundation was announced 3 or 4 years ago that they were going to put this in to mask the sun. So I don't know why people are actually saying that it's not relevant and it's not true, because it is.
Yeah. But there are contrails. I mean, there are lots of contrails, and that's what it is, condensation. And at that 30,000 feet, the condensation will turn into ice at that height. That's what will happen.
But then it lowers in the sky and it stays there, and by 2 or 3 hours, in some cases, it actually goes into like a cloud formation.
Well, it's probably because there are more airplanes flying than ever before.
Well, maybe, but it's a discussion to be had, and I think it's going to come out more now in America with what's going on, whether people like the administration there or not.
Okay. Anyway, what else did you want to talk about?
Yeah, going on to just quickly on to what Adam mentioned there before, and I asked the question yesterday for the minister to explain what he meant by New World Order. I wasn't saying that it was a conspiracy. I think I actually mentioned conspiracy. I wanted him to explain the definition of it because there is so much wording going about. And I think the way government is these days, we have to drill down into what they're actually saying with the stuff that's going on. That brings me into the 20-mile-an-hour zone. I've got friends of mine who's been fighting this in Wales for months now, and it's starting to turn a corner there. And I look at people who are like Duncan Livingston, who from Kirkmichael Commissioners, who is adamantly against the way that this is being railroaded through. Duncan himself was, I think, an experienced ex-police traffic person, if I remember rightly, a traffic cop. People like this, and a driving instructor, I believe. So, when people like this are, bringing stuff forward, again, going back to what I said before, government are railroading certain stuff through. And again, I'll jump onto another point quickly on the access zones. And I think Julian brought this up to start with. He brought this into the public domain to start with because this had been kind of sneaked through the back door. And gladly, Peter Murcott has picked up on this and taken it to pieces and looked at it and digested it. And people should be aware of what they're trying to put through with all this stuff. And also what we've said before about secondary legislation, assisted dying. No one's against this assisted dying for people who actually need it, who actually end of life and are suffering. No one's against that. What we're saying is be very, very wary about secondary legislation and where this is going. Who's writing this and why they're writing it. A lot of this stuff has no place on the Isle of Man. Common sense has just gone out the window, which used to control a lot of this stuff. So that's where, people like Julian and that, we take the time to look into this stuff and drill down into it. And a lot of people don't because they're working all the time and they go home and they switch their soaps on and that's it.
And that's it's important to say that, for someone like Peter Murcott, who calls in, a law lecturer, so he is well versed in reading chapter and verse in legislation. As you say, most ordinary people like you, me, most people have other things to do, and we rely on politicians to do the right thing.
I've never relied on politicians to do the right thing, Andy.
Well, you see, I'm your resident wide-eyed optimist. I do.
No, I'm sorry, I don't. And more so since since 2019, more so since then. But a politician at the end of the day has a title for 5 years, and after 5 years, he's just another person like us. And that's it. It's who they're getting fed the information from that counts. And if they're taking the time to drill down and follow whether that information that they're giving is correct. And that takes me on to another point of saying about regulated radio. I believe George Soros' foundation has just bought up over 200 radio stations. So again, if we've got a person like Soros buying up radio stations, who's actually regulating him if he's got the finances behind these? So again,
where's he bought radio stations?
I think it's a worldwide thing. I'll if you want me to drill down in that, I can, but it's
find out.
Easily
Yeah. Well, because obviously, if it's in the United States, the Federal Communications Commission will have something to say about that. I mean, radio stations have to abide by regulations in the United States. The FCC has got a very heavy hand for people who don't.
They do, but and again, people talk about how the Wild West has gone, the internet and stuff, and it's because really they've looked at how things have been reported, especially by the BBC recently. They used to be a tried and trusted news presenter, and I think people are now searching. They found things which have come true, which have been said on the Wild West, and people are now doubting some of the stuff that's been given to them or kept from them.
Okay.
So, there's all sorts of things. I've got a list of stuff, Andy. I'll go on another day.
All right. Got a dash. Thanks for calling today. There's a message in from Jason who said the swimming pool subvention seems to have doubled from last year. And they've taken away school swimming lessons, which seems strange as they were going to survive on the past subvention. We'll find out more about that. That's to Jason on 384 that the swimming pool subvention seems to have doubled. And a message in from Dennis who just said, is it true what I heard about Andreas? Sleepy Andreas. Police are investigating damage to the public loos. A window's been smashed at the toilet block next to Andreas Play Park. It was smashed between 6 o'clock on Sunday and 8 o'clock yesterday morning. Now, the Northern Neighbourhood Policing Team want to hear from anybody who witnessed the incident or can help identify the person responsible. This is Andreas. Nothing like that happens in Andreas. For more information, contact Ramsey Police 812234. 812234.
Hello, fellow dreamers. Let us take you on a journey from our farm through the hills and the streets we call home to our workshop where we coil every spring, where we weave, stitch and tuft every mattress because your sleep is our craft. We are Harris and Spinks, the true bed makers.
Discover your perfect night's sleep with Harris and Spinks at Lifestyle Furniture. Open 7 days a week.
The Isle of Man Creamery presents stress-free food shopping with our doorstep delivery service. In time for breakfast, enjoy fresh milk, cheese, cream, Noah Bakehouse pastries, bread, coffee, juice, eggs and potatoes delivered straight to your door every day. And if that sounds good, we don't charge for island-wide deliveries. Love food and drink delivered super fresh? Sign up and order online today at isleofmancreamery.com.
We make oil heating easy with our range of services. Whether it's our free smart tank monitoring systems or just our efficient all-island deliveries, Ellen Vannin Fuels has it covered. Call us on 844 000 to find out more.
See what's in store now at Ramsey Garden Centre. We've spring and summer bulbs and seeds and plants for tubs and borders, plus onion and garlic sets, seed potatoes, spring planters and more, including azaleas, rhododendrons and roses, fruit trees, primroses and violas. There's something for gardeners young and old at Ramsey Garden Centre. And for exclusive offers, pick up a reward card today. Check on Facebook or call into Ramsey Garden Centre. Open 7 days a week on Albert Road.
The Mannin Line with Andy Wint.
Charlie's back now. Hi, Charlie.
Hi. They're talking about Summerland and nobody was held to account. At the time, there were 92 taxis in Douglas, And when the fire was on, them taxi drivers ferried people to Nobles free of charge. Now, the architect of that was a man called Lomas. I worked on his property in Abbeylands. He had a yacht, and while Summerland was burning, he was steaming out of Douglas Harbour. He went to the Mediterranean, and he hopped from island to island. When investigators got to the island, he disappeared. Now, about 20 years ago, I was doing some work at Glendhu, Hilbury. I said, that's a nice camper van. Oh, yes, it's Mr. Lomas's. He had the audacity to come back and camp on the Isle of Man. That's the sort of person an architect was who built Summerland.
Okay, and you know all this for certain?
That's fact.
Okay, all right. Appreciate it.
When I told Glendhu owners, he was the architect of Summerland. It's a disgrace he's back on the island. I went to do work the next day, he'd gone.
And do you think the inquest should be reopened, Charlie?
Well, if my friend's son was arrested because he looked similar to the boy who started the fire, and it turned out it was some boys on holiday threw matches into a bin alongside the ticket hut.
Yeah.
Which went up the hourglass. Now, in America,
next to the Crazy Golf, wasn't it?
Yeah. In America, where there's hourglass used, by law, they had to have water cannons facing the hourglass. So it was known it was inflammable then. Now, that architect, Lomas, should have known this. But the people keep making a slur against the Manx people. As I say, all the Manx taxi drivers ferried slightly injured people to Nobles because the ambulance were overwhelmed. So, anyways, that's all I've got to say about it.
All right, appreciate it, Charlie. Thanks for calling today. Regarding the Norma 2 that's dredging Douglas Harbour, what's going to happen to the silt and the mud? Where's it going? Is it in any way polluted, says Andy? Well, I'll tell you where it's going. They're nipping out into Douglas Bay and dropping it there, by the look of it. It's coming down the river, so you can fairly well assume it's okay. It's not the stuff coming down the Neb into Peel Harbour, which of course has got the heavy metals from the mines. So that story. Tomorrow, Rob Callister is on Mannin Line, chair of the planning committee. Maybe we'll ask him about Manx care as well. Rob Callister on MHK on Mannin Line. Thanks to Chris on the phones today.
WIDR